Going on onto the facts that the same day that the British Medical Association came out in support of trans folk, we of course had J.K. Rowling publish her new Cormoran Strike book, Troubled Blood. Now, if you live under a rock and are lucky enough not to have heard about this, Cormoran Strike is a detective series which is published under J.K. Rowling's alter ego, which just so happens to share the same name as a conversion therapist, a gay conversion therapist. And the series has already had problems with trans depiction before. In The Silkworm, which is one of the earlier books in the same series, there was a trans character which Cormoran Strike, the protagonist of the series that people are meant to identify with, literally threatened with assault in prison. So again, like when we heard that this was coming out, everyone was already like, oh no. And then we started hearing about the facts that it contains a cross-dresser who uses their appearance to get close to women, murders them, steals their jewelry, and is noted as enjoying masturbating in women's underwear. Now, a lot of TERFs have been very quick to come out and, say, this isn't about trans people, this is like Silence of the Lambs, it's very different, it's about cross-dressers, Silence of the Lambs said that, contrary to, like, the Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, trans people are generally, like, very passive and they're not aggressive, etc. The problem is J.K. Rowling sees all trans women as cross-dressers. We know this from the way that she supports Janice Turner, who compared trans women to foxes in a hen house, identifying as hens. So
we also know from that initial tweet she did that blew up, where it was all, dress however you please, as if that's the same thing.
Yeah. So it's very clear that, yes, that is how she sees trans people. So to try and pretend like, oh, since it's cross-dressers, it's not the same. No, that's not how it works. You can't ignore the greater context. We also can't ignore the facts that cross-dressers get a lot of transphobic abuse. Yeah, they are different.
We also can't ignore that demonizing cross-dressers isn't good either. They're still people.
Yeah. But it's kind of like arguing that oh no, they're not attacking gay people because it was about a bisexual person. Yeah, but what they're attacking is the sexuality aspect. It's the distinction is a pointless one. It's just meant to distract. It's also meant to deny history and the facts that when Silence of the Lambs came out, there were numerous large protests by trans and queer activists over what was depicted. And people were highlighting how it completely flips reality. They were pointing out how Paris is Burning, the people who appeared in that, some of them were dead, some of them had been murdered. Trans people were being murdered and people were ignoring that, but let's depict something that is, that feeds into this transphobic fear-mongering. Thankfully it didn't become such a big thing because, again, the trans community was something they heard now and then in a weird magazine, oh, this case, my husband turned out to be a woman or something like that. That's all you really heard about it back then. But since then, as we've gained more of a presence in society and we can no longer be ignored in that regard, suddenly everything's been stepped up. Is there anything you'd like to add?
What makes me laugh? Yeah, what makes me laugh about JK's fans' defense of her is it's basically like, if you want to call JK Rowling transphobic, then you have to call Silence of the Lambs transphobic. And when I read that, I was just like, okay, I can do that.
That's the thing, that they're going to say that, oh, you're just doing it now. It's like, no, I did my dissertation on this. I showed you, I had a screenshot of the resource I used in my video on Anna Montgomery, and I showed it to you as I've already got the resources for this because I criticized it. in my dissertation. My dissertation was about changes in trans representation in media. And this was criticism, dating back to when the film came out. So, yeah, it really does show that they think it's a gotcha argument. They love these whole ideas of like a gotcha argument. They think they got one, but they don't. So, yes. Anyway, so is there anything else you'd like to add? Or I think the J.K. Rowling's been talked to death. It's something worth noting, because it does impact everything.
I guess the only other thing is, of course, her new Cormoran Strike book is also incredibly Islamophobic, which is bad. It's not much to do with trans people, although of course some trans people are Muslim. But yeah, the murderer dresses up specifically in hijab, which is just, oh god, it's so bad. No, please don't do that.
Yeah.